presidential race is getting more intense and interesting as the opposition party PDP is yet to put her house together, with the G5 about to unveil their preferred candidate. What does this mean for the PDP and its supporters? Now, to talk about this is a special assistant, public communication to Atiku Abubakar, Frank Shaibu. Also, we have Kenneth Okolubo, who is a PDP chieftain. Good to have both of you. Let me begin with you, Frank. We have been following up on this issue since it started. All right, Kenneth, we have been following up on this issue since it started. At some point, the PDP said it was resolving issues and meetings, reconciliation meetings were going on. But it's now a shocker for Governor Wike to say that, look, they are going to announce their preferred candidate next year, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be the PDP candidate. What's your thought on that? I want to be sure you can hear me, Mr. Kenneth.
Oh, was that question for me?
Yes, it's for you.
Oh, okay. Well, the truth about it is, if you can hear me very well, is I think that the G5 governors, still being members of the PDP, I will say it will be taking a whole lot of risk in announcing a different presidential candidate other than Atiku Abubakar. But they had a leeway to take decisions. But they are the leaders of the party in their states. And as the leaders of party in their states, it is expected of them to lead by example. And the example they're supposed to lead by is to stick with the decisions that were taken at the presidential primaries. But then again, if you look at it from the second perspective, they have been on this for a long time. And what they are asking for is that Yocha, you should stick to the agreement that if a national presidential candidate did emerge from the north, he was going to step down. And that hasn't been done. And they have insisted on it. So it's for the PDP to actually put their house together. One of the reasons that a lot of people have left the PDP is because it's an opposition party, but there has been this headstrong, seemingly way of taking decisions. You must bend backwards over if you want to get results. And if another candidate is announced, that would mean, to me, that would mean the end of the fact that PDP will win the elections, because there is no way the G5 governors will not have influence on about 9 other gubernatorial candidates who seem to be also getting their funding from these G5 governors. But it also has the implication on the G5 governors.
And I will get to the implication in just a moment, and I will get to Frank also in just a moment. But let me ask you, Mr. Kenneth, still, do you think, because you have said that one of the things that they've asked for, and which is what Governor Wike has always talked about, I think is major, when he speaks, is one of the major things he talks about, which is the fact that he was promised that IU was going to resign, and that hasn't happened. But do you see a merit?
This material point in time, they have made him the issue. The issue is step aside. Let us get another, maybe an acting chairman from the south. But like I've said, if he steps aside, the deputy national chairman from the north will have to come in. Maybe that one will also have to step aside for Arakwaja to come in, and most likely that one will return, and the secretary who is from the south will also be changed. It's a bit untidy, but the thing is, they need to set their house in order. You can call a caucus meeting for you to be able to achieve that end, but it depends on your child. If he decides to say, look, instead of me to be a stumbling block to the progress to the candidacy of Atiku Abubakar, let me not be the clog in the wheel of progress. Let me move on. Because under the watch of Yochayu, a lot of people have also left the PDP who are notable figures. Don't forget that Peter Obi was in the PDP, Kwakwansu was in the PDP, and a couple of others who are threatening the very fabric of the presidential candidates at this material point in time.
All right, let me take the conversation to Mr. Shaibu. What do you make of all that Kenneth has said? I just wanted to respond to what he has said.
Well, I'm not sure I'm here to respond to what my brother Kenneth has said. I expected that he would ask me direct questions. Maybe that as is me, I will take a look at it from this point. Fundamentally, those who left the PDP, sometimes we, as a party and as a presidential campaign, we have kept our cool and we have maintained decorum, particularly in handling some of the issues that the Wike and his gang of four other guys, governors, have been talking about. Particularly, the only point of disagreement I would have with my brother Kenneth is the fact that who left the party left because of or under the leadership of Iheochayu. Of course, under the leadership of Iheochayu, but something precipitated their action. And you see, you cannot approbate and reprobate at the same time. Governor Wike knows what we are talking about. He chased Peter Obi out of the PDP. He chased the Cross River governor out of the PDP. He tried to meddle even in the PDP, in the leadership of the PDP in Kano State. That we are not talking does not mean that anybody is stupid. We are not stupid. Sometimes silence is golden. And it is in our interest that some of these issues were resolved, and that's why we have maintained decorum, particularly dignified silence in the dealing of these issues. But that does not mean that we don't know the facts. You see, the issue of Iheochayu's resignation is a non-starter. It's a non-starter because we're a party of rules. We are not a pressure group. We're a political party, and the constitution of the party is clear and unambiguous. So one man cannot say, I was told. He keeps saying someone told him. Someone told him. Who is Wike? Is Wike PDP? Wike is one member of the party. He's a leader of the party in his own right. A governor, one of the governors of our state. So the issue is, why must it be about Wike? Why should it be about, what Wike was told? Oh, you told me that Ayu was going to resign at the end of the primaries. No. You see, if you notice, for once, let me bring this. Let me lay this there and bring it to the front burner. Because we'll be hearing one side of the story. Oh, I was promised this. I was promised this. I will say it here loud and clear. Governor Wike knows very clearly that he is just a member of the party, one member of the party, a leader of the party. At no point, and in fact, at no point did the party, and there is no provision in the party that says that, look, the moment a particular candidate emerges from this zone, the chairman had to quit and all that. There is nothing like that, no provision. So if he, as a lawyer, and a life venture for that matter, does not understand that, look, we should play by the rules, then there is a problem somewhere. Now, be that as it may, in this particular instance, he said, oh, someone told him. Should it be about Governor Wike? The answer is no. It should be about the overall interest of the party. So if at this point you want us to change Iheochayu, we started this macabre dance is in fact has been overtaken by events as far as we are concerned. We have moved past it. Campaign is on.
Mr. Shaibu, I'm not sure.
We've been out there selling.
I'm not sure. Permit me to jump in. I'm not sure this is just now about Wike anymore. He has 4 other governors with him. And those who believe that, look, as they announced their preferred candidates in January or next year, that, look, it's going to affect your chances next year.
Hold on. That is presumptuous. When you say 4 other governors, of course we are aware his friends are there. 4 of his friends are there. Interestingly, when the issue of zoning of our political office, particularly the presidency, as far as the PDP is concerned, came up at the level of the national secretariat of the party, a committee was set up. That committee, interestingly, was headed by one of the members of the Gang of 5, the one you call the G5. Well, if G means gang, permit me to use gang to replace G for the purpose of this conversation. Now, one of the members of the Gang of 5, particularly Governor Otom, was the chairman of that committee set up by the party. That's his friend. That's his ally. You understand? So take a look at the issue of zoning. Should we zone our presidential ticket? And the committee came up with a report. That is clear and unambiguous. And that report said, look, our presidential election or primary should be thrown open to all parties. And that is his friend. That is his ally. That is a member of the Gang of 5. Now, if at that point, for instance, for a lawyer, for instance, if I look, this will not be enough in case I don't emerge. Because Governor Wike is before now, Sometimes some of us even feel that he didn't even enter the presidential race because he wanted to be president of Nigeria. I'm sure he joined that race because he wanted to serve as a pliable tool for some candidates even in the opposition, because it is beyond the issue of the national chairman. Like all the rantings he made yesterday had nothing to do with IU. He talked about he raped moths at even the grave of Chief Tony Anene. Talked about the revered leader of the party and former president Olusegun Obasanjo. Those are not issues that has anything to do with Iyorchia Ayu. You see, there is a language that befits the office of a governor, and there is a language of area boys. A governor of a state should be decorous. A governor of a state should conduct himself in a manner that he should be respected as well. You're a leader of the party. A roaring lion kills no game. A roaring lion kills no game. It is not about me. If you notice, Governor Wike has a pattern. And this penchant is something that should be examined by some of us who are professionals in the media. The penchant is simple. When a governor, the office of a governor is an exalted office. When a governor keeps talking about, oh, I was told, and the time you told me, it was just you and I in the room. So if you tell me, if I dare you to come out to say you didn't tell me, look, my dear, when a man wants to tell a lie, he will say his witness has died. Anybody wants to tell a lie, he will tell you, oh, if not because Benga is dead. If Benga were alive, he would have brought me witness. That is a liar, bloody liar.
Let me take the conversation to
the office of. See, hold on, please. I don't want to be interjected here so that this flow you can understand where I'm coming from. A governor has been persistent. He was told. Why should he be the only one who should be told that Ayu will leave office at the moment a candidate of the northern extraction comes in? No, when Wike was running for that office, he campaigned in all nooks and crannies of Nigeria, particularly PDP states, and even all the states where we didn't have PDP governors. He aspired to that office. He lost the election. On the day of the primaries, he made a vow at the venue of the primaries. Whoever he met today, I'm going to support the candidate. What suddenly happened? It is the pain of defeat. It is beyond Ayu. It isn't about Ayu. And we don't want to go, I don't want to travel that path.
So you have to permit me to interject, because we have two guests. I want to ensure that both of you have equal time to speak. So I'm going to take the conversation to Mr. Kenneth. You've listened to what Mr. Frank has said, because there are a lot of people who now also believe that perhaps this whole agitation from the G5 is now beyond Ayu, that even if Ayu resigns today, there are no indications that members of the G5 will return to the party. What do you make of that?
Well, the truth about it is that when you want to have peace in a party, when I was in the PDP, I was one time spokesman for the presidential campaign council, then for Goodluck Jonathan. And one of the things I learned is, even as a spokesman, no matter how bad it is, to still acting like they're in the primaries. First, the spokesman the special advisor to Atiku has used like 3 words that they might find offensive. He has referred to the G5 as a gang. He has referred to them as, he has referred to him as maybe as a blanter. He was ranting and maybe like a blanted liar. So things do not promote peace, if you were to ask my opinion. But yet, Wike, to a lot of people, has pushed it beyond the ordinary. But it's not only Wike. You cannot wish away Makinde. You cannot wish away Autumn. You cannot wish away Huwayi. And you cannot wish away Kweazu. If you are actually looking for peace, because it is obvious that, like you have said, it is also not only about Ayu. It is obvious that this problem started when I was still in the PDP. For some of us, we actually thought that we were going to go down south during the zoning. We were disappointed when the zoning was thrown open. When it was thrown open, the forms were already being sold. And I actually had a program, and I actually sounded the alarm that, look, forms are already being sold to Northerners. And already the zoning committee had not come out with their report. By the time the zoning committee did come out with their report, they threw it open. And that's where the House of Promotion started. It will be left. I didn't think Kwakwansu should have been running because Buhari is the president of all and is from the Northwest. And now it is obvious that these governors are deeply not satisfied with the fact that the presidential candidate is not from the South. Because if you look at the process I have said that it will take for you to go, it's untidy, and I keep saying it. And it's also the constitution of PDP has to be adhered to. But when you look at such an unusual situation, And you remember deja vu, what happened to the PDP, what happened to the party in 2014. Then I was still a serving commissioner in Delta State. I remember very well when the Atiku stormed out of that meeting, and he had the likes of Saraki, Tambuwal, and Co. And that was the beginning of the end of the 60 years rule of the PDP. And we took it for granted as at then, because then I was still a member of the PDP, and that was the end of the party. And what I thought what they should be learning from what happened at that instance is that you cannot wish away these 5 governors. These governors have made it very clear that they're not going to support Atiku. They have shown it by not even supporting the Presidential Campaign Council. They have not attended the meetings of the Presidential Campaign Council. They don't have him on their branded vehicles. They don't have him on their billboards. Such serious situations will make you go back to the drawing board. It's not for rhetoric at this point, because they're very serious situations. You can't beat your chest during an era of beavers to think that you're just going to win the elections without the leaders of this party. For example, my governor,
but Mr. Kenneth, are these governors not also taking? Are these governors not also? It's just about Governor Wike for, but when you look at someone like Governor Samuel Ortom, he's seeking senatorial seats under the PDP. Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi is doing the same thing. Miazu is doing the same thing. And then Seyi Makinde is running for second term, all of them under the PDP. PDP has said, look, there are indications that they might be expelled for anti-party activities. Isn't that also a risk for these governors?
The risk is very huge, very huge. I've said it over in a couple of outings I've had. But it's obvious that they don't care, the ones that are running for the senatorial seat. Maybe the person that is actually taking this risk is Governor Seyi Makinde, who is going for the second tenure. Ugwuanyi is going to the Senate, Ikpeazu is going to the Senate, Ortom is going to the Senate. They don't really seem to be serious about their senatorial race, because they're not even campaigning, if you ask my opinion. I haven't seen them campaigning. And in this era of beavers, you must campaign to win. You can't take it for granted. Just like I was trying to talk about my governor, who is a vice presidential candidate. I am running for an election in Delta. I'm running on another party. But I see him going from local governments to local governments, even as a vice presidential candidate, still campaigning in Delta State, despite the fact that he has other states to worry about. So these people are taking that risk. But that is why it is very serious. Because if they are not even thinking about their senatorial tickets, that shows that they are sending a clear message to the PDP. And the PDP should be worried about it, because these are leaders of the party in the state. Like you said, even though Wike is not going for an election, he has his gubernatorial candidates, which is his highest prize. He has his senatorial candidates, his House of Rep candidates, and his House of Assembly candidates, all of the PDP stock. But you can see that the other ones do not really bother about their senatorial bids. Because if the senatorial bids was a bother to them, they will maybe they will not hold on to this hard line that they're holding on to. But it is not so difficult. So I wonder why the special advisor to Atiku is making it sound like, they're telling you they want IU out. Yes, they are on the current to it. Why not just take the risk and see if you can prove them wrong, that it's not just about IU, if they will come on board. And at this time, they will have no reason not to come on board. It is better you take that risk than wait the elections on the 25th of February with a divided house. Nobody wins in a divided house, especially with 5 governors who have about 9 gubernatorial candidates loyal to them. It's quite a big risk. It's more of a risk on the part of Atiku than on the part of these governors, because they don't care about their senatorial bid. The person I really worry for is Makinde, who is putting his second tenure at one of the biggest risks you can find. Because if he endorses another candidate, what happens to him if that candidate wins and the candidate turns back and say, look, I'm not keeping to the agreement that I'm going to have with you when it comes to your elections on the 11th of March, 2023. So I think Makinde is really the one at risk at this point now.
I want to get, because I hear Mr. Shaibu chuckling there. I want to get his reaction to what you just said. And also, Mr. Frank, let me also ask you, because we understand that there are indications that if these governors were to announce any other candidate, apart from the PDP candidate, as their preferred candidate, that they might be expelled. Is that true? Are you considering expulsion?
Yeah, my dear, I don't speak for the PDP. I speak for Atiku Abubakar. So definitely, I won't. It will be difficult for me to respond to that on behalf of the party. The party will respond to that. But I would quickly like to respond to a few allusions made by my brother Kenneth, who ordinarily is crying more than the bereaved in this instance, because interestingly, he was one of us. Wonderful guy, great spokesman you know. Interestingly, he left, but we know that someday he would find his way back. Then maybe after his electoral victory, he would join us. And after our own electoral presidential victory, definitely, I know Kenneth will come back home. Be that as it may, Kenneth, I want to say that we have made all efforts. And when you question my choice of language, I want to put it to you that no one has the monopoly for acerbic or vitriolic terminology. Wike is a governor of a state who has children, and he knows that the entire state Nigerians are watching him. There are certain languages that leaders shouldn't use, particularly even at former leaders. At the time Atiku was vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Governor Wike was a
The national anthem. The national anthem. The opening prayer.
Let us pray. Father Almighty, we thank you for this day. You delivered us from the perils and dangers of last night and have granted that we come here safely. We thank you for giving us this day, the very last day of the year 2020. Lord, we pray that you take control of all here to be done. More do we pray for our dear Governor, His Excellency, that as he prosecutes the affair of this flag off, you'll be with him. Grant that your grace will here remain, and on return, guide us through Christ our Lord.
Your Excellency, Yeso Ezenwo-Wike, Commander of the Order of the Niger, Grand Service Star of Rivers State, Life Bencher, Governor of Rivers State. Your Excellency, Dr. Mrs. Apalibo Banigo, DSSRS, Deputy Governor of Rivers State. The running mate to the PDP Standard Bearer in Rivers State, the Chairman, People's Democratic Party, Rivers State, the former Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, distinguished senators and members of the National Assembly, the Deputy Speaker, principal officers, and members of the Rivers State House of Assembly, members of the State Executive Council, Your Majesties and Royal Highnesses here present, elder statesmen, special advisors, chairman of local government councils here present, permanent secretaries, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the flag off of construction of Obo Ihubogo Road to be constructed by the government of Rivers State. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I at this point invite for the presentation of Kola Nut, His Imperial Majesty, Ezesa Ambassador Kelvin Ngozi Anugwo, PhD, JP, AP, FNRM, Izzy Ekpe Lobo III.